Hello everyone, welcome back to Crow's Whisper Tarot. Today we're going to be looking at your future spouse's appearance, and we're going to look at all the details as much as we can and pull out a few extra notes and things that I have for you guys. So take your time selecting the piles. I'll give you a close-up in a second and I'll see you guys in the reading. Okay, here are the piles. We have pile 1, pile 2, pile 3 and pile 4. Take your time selecting the piles and you can skip to the reading. Hello pile 1, you guys picked out the quartz crystal. Let's have a look at your future spouse's appearance. The first thing you'll probably notice about your future spouse is actually how, I guess, domineering their presence is in a room. It's something that you can't really escape. They just have this magnetism to them. And with the Seven of Wands, it is usually a card that depicts, trying to defend yourself and to protect your environment. So you might also get a protective nature from this person as well. But the first thing you do notice is that they sort of tower over people, or their presence is just so magnetic that people just get attracted to them. You might also find that they have a much slightly wider build, I suppose is what you can call it. But that's your first impression of them. The other things that you'll start to notice about your future spouse with the elephant spirit here is that their presence is just so magnetic, but they also have this sort of intelligent nature that you can sort of see through their eyes, and the way they sort of handle themselves. They walk a little slower, they take their time with doing things, they don't sort of rush into things necessarily. So it's just their presence is just so magnetic and you can't help but sort of notice them in the room. Again, that's saying sort of elephant in the room, you can't really avoid them. They just have this sort of, again, presence moment in the room, and everyone just gets magnetized to them. But I do think it's in their eyes that you sort of notice that there's this intelligence and, greater presence than what can be seen, sort of thing. We also have Chiron with heel. So again, you might find that despite their sort of larger frame, they tend to move a little bit slower, but also they're just very gentle with what they do and their movements and things. You might also notice that the way they dress or the way they handle themselves, they tend to wear a lot more sort of muted colors or gentler colors. They tend to, try and keep things as minimalistic as possible. They don't really, overdress themselves or wear a lot of jewelry. I feel like they just keep things to a minimum most of the time. So they dress very practically in what they need to do. So that's what I'm getting off the bat, but let's get a few other details with the tarot cards as well to see any other details about group 1's future spouse's appearance. So we have the 7 of Coins, the 8 of Wands, the 4 of Cups, and the Ace of Swords. There's a lot of motifs of fire, even in the 7 of Wands card that we pulled out initially. So it could be that they just have a very passionate energy, or they're very active. So they keep their body active, so they might be really into fitness as well. But they definitely feel like they keep in shape, they go to the gym, they're very disciplined, especially with the elephant spirit there with what they do, and you can see that in their physicality as well. I do feel like they're the type to, with the 7 of Cups, usually it's about sort of waiting. So you could feel like, again, that sort of slow movements, they don't rush into things. Even when they're sort of walking down the street, it feels more like they're sort of plodding along. It doesn't feel like they're walking with, a lot of intent. You sometimes get people who walk really quickly or walk with a certain energy about them and sort of bounce in their step. They don't have that. It's just, especially with the 7 of Coins as well, it's just moving at the pace that they feel comfortable with and the pace that they want to move at. But when they need to take action, they definitely will with both of these cards. I feel like they sort of are the type to conserve their energy until they really need to use it, and then they start to move off the way they need to. but I do get the feeling that they are particularly on the taller side, regardless of gender. It does feel like their presence itself, again, towering over. They might be taller than you as well, to some extent, but you might also find that they don't always reveal their emotions through their facial expressions. They almost try and keep deadpan half the time. But when they do get really excited about something, you can definitely see it. But for the most part, they definitely have this sort of deadpan look about them until you get them to laugh, and then you see their personality sort of shine through. But it does feel like things tend to be on the slower side for them generally. So let's have a look at a few other details about their appearance. So we have dramatic. So I use like the Kibbe system for this. So dramatic means that they're very tall, relatively slender, long arms, long legs. They have very angular features as well. And we did get angular features on here too. And they tend to look best in sort of like very clean, simple lines and more like tailored suits sort of vibe as well. We do have facial hair as part of their appearance. We have tall again, so definitely someone who is very tall. We have dark eyes, and we also have soulmate. So might very much be your soulmate. If you need confirmation, there you go. And I'll just take the time, to those of you who have stuck around for this long in the reading, to just get a few answers from the pendulum. So take your time, think of a question that you want answered, yes or no, and we'll have a look at what the pendulum has to say. The answer for group 1's question. So that's coming out as a yes for whatever it is that you just asked. So that was your reading, pile 1. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Welcome, pile 2, to your reading on your future spouse's appearance. Your first thoughts on your future spouse's appearance is the 3 of Wands. So you see this as someone who is a bit eccentric. They wear a lot of interesting items or interesting jewelry. Sometimes it can be that they're a world traveler, so they sort of collect those items with them. They tend to wear outfits a lot of the time that tend to be very practical, very good to sort of run around in and be comfortable in. So you don't see them wearing a lot of like extremely tailored pieces or like suits or anything like that. They tend to wear things that they can move a lot in and sort of explore. It can also be that they have a very dynamic energy about them as well. We also have seahorse spirit with watch and wait. So if you think of a seahorse, you sort of see a lot of intricate detailing, a lot of interesting items. Again, these colors are very much sort of opposites, in like orange and blue tend to be opposites, so they could very well mix and match patterns and colors. They're not afraid of experimentation. You might find that they're the type to sort of dress the way they want to. They don't really put into stock what anyone else has to say. They sort of keep their eccentricities about themselves. You might also notice with their appearance that they have a lot of hair, or a lot of they always change their hairstyle or their features a lot of the time. They like those sort of experimentations, might dye their hair a lot as well. We also have Vesta with Hearth. This is someone who, after you get to know them a little bit more, you notice that they tend to really like the spotlight. They're someone who really wants to let others know about their passions through the way they dress, the way they do things, the way they sense the world around them. They're the type to really want to present themselves based on their experiences, and sort of nothing is left unsaid. They can also be the type to sort of display their emotions on their face, and they can't really hide their emotions either. So you might find that it's very obvious the way they feel about something, which makes it helpful for you to some extent. So what other messages do we have with the tarot on their pile two's future spouse's appearance? Information on pile two's future spouse. So we have the Knight of Swords, the Ace of Wands, the Emperor, and the Three of Cups. So they could definitely be someone who has a lot of facial hair or facial significant facial features. I feel like a very strong jawline. They tend to groom themselves quite well. I don't feel like this is someone who is particularly scruffy if they have facial hair. I think the main thing I'm picking up is just their energy. They have such a significant energy, like they can't really sit still with anything. They have to keep moving, they have to keep doing things. You're going to find that sort of translate into their style again with wearing a lot of clothes that are easy to move in. They don't like being restricted in any capacity. So if you do have a formal event, I don't see them wearing like a really fitted outfit, because that's just not going to work for them very much. But with the Three of Cups, I am picking up that they tend to, they dress according, I feel like, again, I keep saying dress with this group. I have a feeling they're just very good at styling themselves, and they put a lot of pride into styling themselves, but I feel like they do dress according to the social situation they are associated with. So it's not like they avoid dressing in any sort of formal style, but they do try and dress for the occasion. It just depends on the group they're in. But a lot of the time I feel like the settings they're in are with friends mostly, rather than like really extreme social situations. I do feel like they have a very strong physicality about them. Take it the way you want to with that. But the main thing I'm finding with this group is they're just someone who is so obvious in their facial expressions and their movements and their experiences. It's all just so obvious. So if you do have to pick them out of a room, you'd be able to do it in a second. I feel like I don't feel like there's going to be much sort of hesitation with sort of picking them out. So we have dark hair, dark eyes. We have younger. So for some of you, could be younger than you. We also have light eyes. We have deep set eyes. We have soulmate. We have two different body types here, but they are actually quite similar. So I've used some of the Kibbe body types. So we have romantic, so they have a lot more round qualities to their physique. So rounder face, bigger eyes, fuller lips, things like that. They also have a lot of, their bone structure is a bit more thin, a bit more narrow, but they do have a bit more flesh to them. We also have soft dramatic, so this is someone who is on the taller side, but again, rounder features. They do have a bit of sharpness to their features, but there's definitely a certain rounded quality to them. And both of these styles, in terms of dressing, are as over the top as you can get. So think a lot of furs, velvet, just going ham on anything that looks luxurious, okay? So again, their style tends to be on the luxurious side of things. So that's something you might want to consider. So for those of you who've stuck around so far until the end of this reading, I'm just going to ask the pendulum to answer any yes or no question that you have. So take your time selecting a question that you want answered, and we'll use the pendulum to see what the response is. So what is the answer to pile two's question? And that is a yes to whatever it is that you just asked. So that was your reading, pile two. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Hello, pile three. Welcome to your reading on your future spouse's appearance. The first impression you get of your future spouse is the Judgment card. It is literally like when they walk in, it's a breath of fresh air. You just notice them as quickly as possible. It's not even like a hesitation. They walk into a room and you just immediately pick up on their energy. So not sure if you guys have a very spiritual connection, but it's almost like an immediate sort of sense that they're in the room. We also have Hummingbird Spirit, be here now. I feel like they just have such a magnetic energy, and I feel like you pick this up over time, but I also get the sense that they're just a social butterfly and they're constantly like jumping between two places at once. They also can be pretty chatty as well, is what I'm picking up. So I feel like over time you just get used to their energy and their presence and the way they sort of hold themselves. You might find that when they're sitting down, they just can't keep still. They're sort of fidgeting with things or like trying to do things all the time. We also have Cancer with Immerse. I'm getting with this person, they love comfort, and so the way they dress and the way they hold themselves are with things and that are a lot more comfortable. So they dress slightly more practical for the environment they're in. They also like to wear a lot of sweaters, a lot of, comfortable items. They do like to dress up, but I feel like when they dress up, they usually wear pieces of, jewelry or items that have like a significant meaning to them. So like a family heirloom or a gift from someone. They tend to wear those sorts of pieces a lot of the time. They don't really delve too much into buying things new. They like sort of items that have a lot of significance. What you'll also find is that they can be looking slightly older than you, but I think overall there's a pretty close age gap between the two of you. But I am picking up because we have 34 and 4 for Cancer, so it could be that in terms of age gap there's like a year or two difference, or for some of you it could be up to 4 years. So that is something that you can keep in mind. So let's ask the tarot a few other bits of information about your future spouse's physical appearance. So we have the 2 of Coins, the 8 of Swords, the Tower card, and the 4 of Swords reversed. So this is interesting because I didn't pick this up initially, but it could be that your future spouse is an introvert, but the energy they give off is not that. I feel like they're very much someone who has a lot of balance to their life, and that sort of reflects in their physical appearance as well. So they might have balanced facial features, balanced physique. They're not like overly lean or like overweight. They're sort of keeping themselves in check a lot of the time in terms of their physical health. You might find that they either tower over you or they just have such a significant presence that they walk in the room and you feel it. I feel like that's just a reflection of that Judgment card we got before, but it could be that there is a significant height difference between the two of you as well. But I do feel like they're the type of person who, in terms of their physique, they have a lot of features that contradict each other and that really stand out. So usually the 4 of Swords is rest, so calm, things that look very symmetrical, very even, nothing's out of place. But I feel like with this, they do have a lot of contradicting features. It can also be that even like ethnicity is something that is very like blurred for them, so they might not look ethnically similar to other groups of people. They sort of look very much blended in terms of what culture they sort of come from. So that's something to keep in mind. I would say that majority of people around them would probably say they are an introvert who pretends to be an extrovert. That's the biggest thing that's coming up in this that you might find. But physicality wise, they do tend to like, I feel like, darker colors or things that feel like, I don't know, like a cave is the vibe I'm getting. It's very much like a cave. So think of like the dark gray in the background for me, or sort of like any sort of like darker colors and darker aesthetics is something that they are very much interested in. And I feel like that's sort of how others would depict their style, but I am getting more, in terms of their style preferences, is more things that are comfortable, but also things that are linked with like their interests more so, or aspects of comfort. So if you really like watching a certain TV show, it gives you a lot of comfort, they draw in inspiration from that in terms of the way they dress, and things like that. So let's get a few additional messages. We have younger, so this person might be younger than you. We also have soft gamine, so this is someone who is on the petite side. There's someone who has a lot of roundness to them. They're sort of like short and like stocky in their figure, but they do have a very magnetic presence to them as well, and they do have very large eyes. We also have deep set eyes. We have light hair. We also have your opposite, so it could be opposite to in terms of personality, but it can also be opposite in terms of physical appearance as well, or the complete opposite of your usual type. So again, we have rounded eyes, and we also have theatrical romantic. So both soft gamine and theatrical romantic are based on like Kibbe body types, but essentially theatrical romantic is someone who is on the petite side again, skinnier bones, but has sort of rounded facial features and rounded features in general, and they tend to have like smaller hands and more sort of delicate bone structure, things like that. So that is what I have for you guys, but seeing as you stuck around for so long to this point in the video, I'm going to be asking a yes or no question for you guys with the pendulum. Think of a question that you have in mind and we will get a response for you guys. So think of your question, take your time. So what is the answer to pile 3's question? So for you guys, it seems like your question has too many other factors involved for it to give you a straight yes or no answer. So not the best, not the best, but that was your reading for you guys, pile 3. I completely forgot where I was. So please do like and subscribe. Thank you for all of you who have been watching so far, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Welcome pile 4 to your reading on your future spouse's physical appearance. We start off with the Queen of Cups. So your first instant of seeing your future spouse, the first thing you notice is that they have such a comforting energy to them. You might also notice they have quite expressive eyes, or that they dress in a way that is very comfort heavy. So think of like soft materials or like comfortable clothing. For some of you, I'm getting like pajama style or like track style clothing. So things that feel like you can sort of live in them and sleep in them, that sort of thing. The other thing I was picking up for you guys in terms of later down the track, once you get to know them, what you love about their physical appearance is the peacock spirit, let it shine. I feel like they just have this magnetism to them. They sort of are like extremely expressive. If they want to show off, they definitely will. They're the type to, you know, put on a show if you ask them to, or even if you don't ask them to, they definitely will. They are the type of person who wants to present themselves in a way that is liked by other people. They do keep in mind what other people have to say. They also want to make sure that, you know, other people are enjoying themselves, things like that. And we also have Pluto with rebirth. For some of you guys, it could be that this person has a preference for darker colors and darker aesthetics. They do enjoy things that are a little bit different, a little bit unique. Again, with the peacock spirit, they want to sort of show off and show themselves off in a certain way that also involves being seen as different. So they do try and style themselves in that manner as well. You might also notice they have a lot of darker features. That can also be part of it with Pluto. But it can also be that they have a lot of uniqueness that takes time for you to start to notice. Especially with rebirth as well, it could be that they have like sudden changes in appearance or like sudden transformations of themselves. So might go and, you know, grow out their hair suddenly and then like buzz cut it. Like there's some extremes that sort of goes through with it at times as well. But overall, I think this person just has is just such a real people person, is what I'm getting ultimately. So any other messages for group 4's future spouse? That's it. We have judgment, we have the 9 of swords, and we also have the 3 of cups. So this individual, what they absolutely love is being able to attract people to them. Again, a showstopper quality, celebrity quality, you can say as well. But they do love being the center of attention. They do love the praise that they get. I don't feel like they're necessarily self-centered, but the way they respond to like compliments and things is very open. They don't sort of be like, oh no, that's not true. They're like, yeah, I'm good looking. Yeah, that's it. Overall, I am getting that they really have, what I'm getting is like large movements to their body. So if they are expressing themselves, they sort of whack their arms out and really sort of emphasize their movements with their hands and arms and whole body in general. I don't feel like they sort of restrict themselves in that sense. The only thing I'm picking up is they might have a bit of anxiety when it comes to speaking their mind on things that could be a bit controversial. They sort of hold back in that sense. But overall, I feel like they're just extremely expressive. They, in a sense, conform to the norms, but they also like to push the boundaries a little bit as well. They're just a very complex individual that you don't get to see that side of them until much later down the track is what I'm getting. So, any messages for this pile? We have light eyes, we have deep set eyes, we have dramatic classic. So this is based on the Kibbe body type. So think of symmetrical body, sharper facial features. My throat's going. Think of like really thin bones, and also like they look better in like tailored, slightly more tailored sort of outfits, so things that are a little more boxier in shape. We also have romantic in terms of their style, so that can be a lot more of a petite frame, having more rounded features, which is slightly opposite, but more rounded features, more smaller arms and legs, and slightly more rounded body as well. And we also have soft gamine, which is again more petite, having a lot more roundness to their features. Now, if you are more interested in a man, this can also mean that they are just small compared to the average man in terms of body proportions. They do have slightly more childlike and innocent features if they are more of a soft gamine as well. And lastly, we have your opposite, so that can be the opposite of the type you usually go for. Could be opposite in personality, opposite in style, or physical appearance. So just keep that in mind. So for those of you who are stuck around so far in the reading, we're just going to use the pendulum to get a yes or no answer to whatever question that you have in mind. So take your time thinking of a question that you prefer. You can always pause the video and we will look at what the answer would be. What is the answer to pile 4's question? So, looks like the answer to your question is no. So, that was your reading, pile 4. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.